Okay, can I welcome you all here this afternoon, and particularly those supporters who travelled a long way to get here. Very warm welcome. Can I just introduce the people on this top table? Myself, Roger Godsiff, I'm a Member of Parliament for Birmingham Hall Green. On my right, I have Brian Dugan, who is a spokesperson for Aston Villa. Then we have Professor Steve Frosdick, independent expert on safety in sports grounds. We have Bob Sims, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Peterborough United. And last but not least, representing the Men in Blue, Superintendent Steve Graham, who has 20 years of policing football matches and is the operational lead for the policing of football in the West Midlands. So I say a very warm welcome to them. I've missed out most important person of all, who is Fiona McGee, researcher and writer, who has done work for Supporters Direct. So a very warm welcome to you, Fiona, and to the rest of you. This gathering this afternoon is part of an ongoing campaign to give football fans, and we're all football fans in this room, the choice of whether at Premiership and Championship matches they should be allowed to stand if that is their choice and if that is the choice of the club. Up until now, ever since the terrible tragedy of Hillsborough, we've had a situation where standing at Premiership football matches, First Division as was, and Championship football matches is not permitted. Those of us who always believe that football fans should have the right to stand have never accepted the argument that has been put out by some that standing per se is inherently unsafe. If that were the case, then every weekend people who go to League One matches, League Two matches would be in an unsafe environment. Anybody who goes to rugby matches would be in an unsafe environment. Anybody who goes to the proms, last night at the proms, jumping up and down, that would be unsafe. Those in the parks, watching the proms, standing up, cheering, singing, that would be unsafe. So our argument has always been that if you have a proper discussion about safety, then standing at football matches in a safe environment and with the sort of safe standing areas that have been on display today is not unsafe. But of course, the whole argument has, in many ways quite rightly, been overshadowed by those terrible events that took place at Hillsborough. And of course, those people, like myself and others, who have sought to raise the issue, have always been mindful of the fact that the Hillsborough families and support group have always taken a position that they are not in favour of going back to standing at football matches. But the good thing out of that appalling, disgraceful tragedy has been the report that came out earlier this year, which showed quite clearly that standing was not the cause of the Hillsborough tragedy. The cause of the Hillsborough tragedy was incompetent police officers, bad stewarding, too many people in the Leppings Lane entrance, and those terrible fences which stopped people being able to escape onto the pitch. And that cocktail, which caused the appalling disaster at Hillsborough, would have happened somewhere else if it didn't happen there. But of course, we all had to be very mindful and respectful of what happened and respectful of the victims' families. The report that has come out has now completely opened up the whole issue again. It has quite rightly put the blame at the door of corrupt police officers. It has quite rightly put the blame at the door of those who sought to blame the supporters on the day and terraces on the day in order to hide their own incompetence and their inability to do their job properly. Those people, all of us here, I'm sure, would say, those people who are still alive in the police force should be held to account for what they did and for their corruption in hiding it for so long and for the suffering caused to the victims' families. But having said that, we're here today to talk about the issue of safe standing, the sort of standing that occurs every week of the year in leagues like the Bundesliga, where you have Borussia Dortmund with 80,000 people, 25,000 standing up in a safe standing area. Fantastic environment. That's what this issue is all about.